Wedding planners, what is the weirdest couple you've ever met? I had one wedding where the bride told the groom aloud at the altar, "I'm not really that in love with you, but I think you'll be a good husband." The look on his face. He tried to laugh it off and told her to hush, but he was tearing up as they walked away. That's heartbreaking. A wise professor once told me, there's a time and place for everything, but not now. I had one girl who wanted the guests to pay for the expenses. She needed $900 per person. I don't think she got a single yes to her invitations. She asked me to lower my costs. At that point, I kindly asked her to get another person to help her. I don't know what happened after that. Maybe she canceled the thing. $900 per person. Wow. IKR. That's not a wedding, that's a scam. If you join this wedding for just $900, I'll teach you how to make $2,000 a week working just 1 hour from your home. I worked at a tux place. I was measuring a groom and his best man. The whole time the best man was saying awful things about the bride. Finally the groom said something along the lines of, "Oh well, that's what divorce is for." Big brain time. Spend loads of time and money on a wedding just to spend loads of time and money on a divorce. Why make one mistake when you can make two at double the cost? I see what you did here. Great movie, laughing face. I met this couple who was so obsessed with the movie Back to the Future. They rented the original DeLorean from the film and the groom entered the ceremony inside the car. The really weird part was they named their child Calvin. Calvin was the name Marty had. He went back in time in the 1950s. Hold up, you can rent the original DeLorean from the film for things? Yeah, it was pretty cool. Not sure how much it cost, but the hood was signed by the whole cast. I've had a few weird couples for sure. The one that comes to mind first is one that is getting married later this year. The bride and groom are around 19 to 20 and they act like children. Like the bride literally will only talk in a baby voice to her parents who hover over everything. They also picked to go with Spider-Man and Beauty and the Beast as their theme. Yes, they want both to be depicted and not in a fun adult interpretation of it, but in like wanting to use party supplies that you would use for a kid's birthday. My venue also rents out a fog machine that can be used for the first dance. We had this one groom that was obsessed with ninjas and wanted to try to hide in the fog and jump out and do crazy karate moves and such. It was weird. Those are the only ones that stand out to me. But I've definitely dealt with a lot of weirdos. Karate guy's wedding sounds like a good time, TBH. Ooh, I've had some good ones. I had the groom who wanted the minister to do the "speak now or forever hold your peace" thing. At which point the groom would reveal the gun holstered on his belt by lifting up his suit jacket. I nixed that immediately. The bride was perfectly normal and sweet and I honestly worried that she was in an abusive relationship. Then there was the father of the bride who was a very strict Presbyterian and was hosting a dry wedding for 225 guests and reprimanded me for using the words cocktail hour. Like, yes sir, I understand there will be no alcohol served at this wedding, but it's still called cocktail hour. He also wanted 225 prime ribs served in 20 minutes, which was impossible with the size of our kitchen. He was a condescending asshole. Then there was the mother of the groom that pretty clearly didn't like the bride and didn't want to pay 1 penny more than she had to for the rehearsal dinner, which turned out to be a rehearsal luncheon. She decided on a deli buffet menu, make your own sandwich style, at $13 per person. Didn't even splurge for the $15 per person version, which would have gotten her some potato salad and desserts. She also liked to call me on my cell phone at 7:30 a.m. Well, before I was in the office. I stopped answering her calls until she would call my office phone. All in all, though, most of my couples were perfectly normal and nice. I honestly had more trouble with parents than I did with couples. I would have strapped a Nerf gun to myself for more obvious comic effect. not particularly a wedding planner. However, I was a wedding photographer at one of those cheesy wedding chapels on the Strip in Las Vegas. The story I remembered most was this couple who got married. It was business as usual. We didn't think much of it, had the service and took the photos. We told them to return the next day for photos. The next morning we get a call from the groom we will call James, saying that his new wife, Emily, threw them out of the car last night and left them on the side of the road. We come to find out James wasn't an American citizen, so he essentially paid Emily, I believe, $10,000 so he can start the process of becoming a citizen. He was now asking if he could annul his wedding after being scammed out of $10K. It's fairly common you'd go online or even to other chapels to shop around to compare prices in the types of wedding packages other chapels offer. So a few months later we see Emily on another competitor's wedding website with a different guy. So we assumed she was making this a business, marrying dudes for money and leaving them high and dry. I wish I had some more resolution to the story. However, that's all I have on my end, other than that you encounter a lot of interesting walks of life doing Elvis-themed weddings, ceremonies with occasional costume themes. Isn't she technically legally married to the first guy, and with the rest she's committing the crime of bigamy? I'm assuming that James was able to complete the annulment, and then, like I mentioned, there was some time between those ceremonies. I'm not a wedding planner, but I manage events at the facilities I currently work at, and we had a wedding where the groom wore a three-piece tux, all white, with banana yellow Converse and a banana yellow bow tie. His groomsmen wore all black with banana yellow Converse and ties. Throughout the wedding service, the groomsmen would hold up emoji signs reacting to things that were happening, each holding up puke emojis when they kissed. When it came time to get the rings, the best man acted like he had lost it when suddenly a man in the audience stood up and threw a frisbee with the ring taped to it to the groom. They were all avid frisbee golfers. The frisbee was also their guest book, signed by everyone who came. The thing that saddened me is it seemed the bride really did not want to be marrying the groom. Monsieur, one of her bridesmaids, came to me before the wedding asking for any snacks for the bride because she felt like she was gonna throw up from crying so much. I hope the best for them in the future, but it was all a little hard to watch. Why in the world would you marry someone that you don't want to marry? I am sorry, but I am having trouble wrapping my mind around this one. I think she was 18. He was 24. The theory in my head is that she was pregnant, but I too had a hard time wrapping my mind around that one. Her father was the one that married them too. I was a wedding coordinator intern at a local banquet hall once summer. The actual coordinator on staff would work with them for months, then I'd typically help out with the rehearsal and ceremony reception the next day. We had one couple that we knew was going to have an interesting ceremony. We knew she was going to have elements around the hall that were woodsy and natural because she liked fairies. And also their best friend was going to marry them, and it was his first time. They show up to rehearsal and she's in full fairy wings, and she confirmed that yes, she was going to wear them in the wedding. Sure, whatever. We start getting a ceremony order together. Groom is super awkward and won't give a straight answer. Barely even looks us in the eyes. Bride has somehow failed to inform us that her parents are divorced and haven't spoken to one another in years. Great. That eventually gets worked out and they walk down the rehearsal aisle to the poor guy officiating. We tell the officiant he can practice what he wants to say or just skip it and cut to the ring exchange. Homeboy pulls out a stack of papers and proceeds to read a 25-minute speech. Bride looks like she wants to ascend to another plane, and the bridesmaids are barely containing themselves. They were nice and their wedding day was great and frilly and wore Monsieur O. And the officiant had them do their vows while he twirled a wand with streamers on it. What a weird weekend. The officiant having to twirl a wand of streamers is the best bit of that whole thing. Haha, I can't imagine. former wedding coordinator for a very small, very high-end company. You can make a lot of assumptions just on observing someone's wedding morning. Most memorable, not weird, but terrible in all ways. Also possibly socially inept. This bride and groom were clearly both so rich and so entitled their entire lives that they didn't know how to function properly. The bridal party suite, in a penthouse hotel room in downtown Chicago, was silent except for a comment here and there from the bride's mother about it being a big day. The bride complained about everything, the mimosa being strong, the water being room temp, the bagels being bagels instead of fruit, everything. She didn't respond when I asked her questions, and instead looked at a bridesmaid with annoyance to answer for her. The groom's suite was trashed with liquor bottles and they were walking around in boxers 5 minutes before photos. I told them we had 5 minutes. And the groom drunkenly responded, Hey, I'm pretty sure I'm really important today. It's not going to happen without me. And it's not happening in 5 minutes. And then the guys decided to slide down the back stairwell banister instead of take the elevator to the lobby. One of the groomsmen didn't go with them and told me I really needed to take control of the guys. Otherwise, why were they paying me? Owen and groom's mom came into the suite with her dress, which showed almost all of her titties, and said, "How do I look, boys?" They all hooped and hollered for her. I had to stifle a laugh. 0 tenths would not recommend. Greater than almost all of her titties. How many were there? About 20. I bartended a wedding of 2 trans-species people. She thought she was a pony. He was a centaur. They were pretty adamant. Whatever makes them happy, I guess. Whatever fills your stable. She only married him because he was hung like a horse. Oof. I had a couple whose last name, in another language, literally means penis, which was actually really fitting, because they were epic D words for that. Yup. The guy would hit on me, all the female waitstaff, and even the company's owner's mother, who was 65. Whenever his fiancée left the room, monsieur, not just harmless flirtations. I mean like legit vulgar propositions. That wasn't even the worst part though. They had this request that we save all the bottles of beer, wine, and liquor from the event because the husband and his groomsmen were going to melt them down and make dildos out of them in various styles to be used on the bride after they were married. That was the last wedding I helped coordinate. I left that company as soon as that wedding was done. How many fucking dildos could they possibly need? Good lord. Ooh, not a wedding planner, but attended a wedding of this super rich acquaintance. It was a large venue to accommodate around 1,500 to 2,000 guests. Pretty common in my culture. The theme for all wedding festivities was "Don't Ask Why, 50 Shades of Grey." Right from calling each other "My Mr. Grey" and "My Ms. Steele." Right from masks to fans and color themes. The entire place was decked up following that theme. Not to mention, as you enter the venue, there was a pictorial depiction of their journey set to the same theme. I have some great memories explaining this to my super conservative parents. Edit. Grammar. Well, I guess we know what that couple was into. Bad literature. Since literally no one with an actual interest in BDSM will have anything to do with those fucking books. This is the most correct answer. I thought you said you met him at church. Quote, "No, mother. I said he was kneeling in front of a cross." Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.